first rule of Fight Club is don't talk about Fight Club. That's basically the rule when you're a prepper. You don't talk about your stash. But I think it's kind of obvious by now. You know, I talk about this crap all the time to anybody who'll listen. Because I've always been super aware and interested in world events and natural disasters and things like that. And if you're aware of what's going on in the world, you're going to be preparing for it. It's interesting because the cost of groceries has went up so much that it's kind of harder to stockpile on a budget, but you can over time and it really builds up. So a little bit at a time and it gets there. So today I wanted to show you, even though it's against the prepping rules, I want to show y'all our stockpile because I just organized it because our garage just got wired up thanks to cousin Landon. So we got our freezer running and we're about to fill it with the hog and some bacon. So I got to show off our organized, well, I'm not quite done, but of course, I feel like nothing is done here. I should probably get to work on finishing things. Everything's like 90% complete. Yeah, isn't that how life goes? So anyway, I'm going to show you our stockpile. Box number 1, what's in here? Oh, beans and dry storage. We've got these in here to protect from mice. But we have a full-time employed cat in here now, so we haven't had much of a problem. Canned goods, drinks, teas, all that stuff, because mom's sweet tea is the bomb. Okay, and what is left of our my hard work, our garden. So I think we have enough to get us through the end of the year. Now we did 150 tomato plants last year. That was a little much. We were canning so much that the pigs, actually, I gave up and gave the pigs, oh wait, I have corn too, the last of the tomatoes because I was sick of it. And it went 2 calories for them. So anyway, this is just some of our storage. And of course you can see our famous cereal stockpile, which goes well with the goat milk. This is our infamous cereal pile, which we have collected for pretty cheap, if not free, because we have a really great discount grocery store. They're Mennonite folks who go and get food at auctions, and sometimes you can get a case of cereal for like $5. So that's why I go ahead and feed some to the goats, because it's a cheap snack. Now that it's all spread out, it doesn't really seem like that much. But that's great because it seemed like too much when it was all in a pile, like a messy pile is terrible. Now I can actually see everything, and this will help save on our grocery budget because obviously we've been through the ringer this past year living in a camper. So I have not been the everything from scratch mom that I normally am. In our pantry, I like to have tons of rice, which is really cheap even now to get. You can get, even if you buy 50 pounds of rice. What do they charge for it these days? 20 bucks maybe? You could probably find some 50 pounds for 20 bucks. Okay, calculate that down. If you get 100 pounds of rice, you basically have a staple for a year for your whole family. And you could live off of rice. That's debatable. I'm not even going to be able to show you all of my jar collection because I have like 400 jars. A lot of them are empty, as you can see, because we're towards the end of the season, but I have a stockpile. The jars. And okay, this is an interesting point. There was a time when I considered canning that I said, this is not worth it, because by the time you pay for the jar and, the new cap that you use every time, it just is the same cost as buying a jar of spaghetti sauce at the store, right? Like the cheap kind. So it isn't really worth it, but in my mind, it is worth it to have it on hand so you can do whatever you need to do. Ball lids, the caps, they used to say that they were good for a couple years, but now they're different. If you find old ball rings or ball caps, lids, the gasket here is thicker, the old ones. They're literally making it thinner so that you can't use them for as long and you can't reuse them. Your grandmas used to reuse them all the time. So why are they telling us we can't anymore? Because the government stepped in and said, nope, can't do it. So I actually found this brand, and this isn't sponsored, but this brand, if you compare it to the current ball things, their gasket is significantly thicker. And I do plan to try to reuse these lids, the ones that are in good shape, because this gasket here, I'm telling you, it's probably like the old ball ones. It's nice and thick. It seems like there's no reason you wouldn't be able to reuse it if you're very gentle with how you give, put them on and take them off. So to me, these jars are then worth it if you can reuse them. Don't listen to the government. Like, it's kind of sketchy. I'm new to this, so I don't feel the brave to try the rebel canning stuff, but they're literally lying to us. The government stepped in and they tried to say that things were unsafe, but if you look at statistics on canning, this is what helped me get over it. The statistics on botulism and home canned goods are like so few. It's so few, especially in comparison to the fact that most of botulism cases in the United States come from mass-produced canned products, which you'll have to account for the fact that more people are using the store-bought things and not home canning, but you also account for the fact that these are the grandmas that are like, they're doing it the grandma way, okay? So there's all kinds of instances where they're rebel canning, and I think we need to kind of trust our grandmas more than the government. That's what I always say. Now, this is an interesting point, too. When we talked to Jamin's uncle, who's a real farmer, he used to do dairy, now he does beef. And he kind of said, like, yeah, farming can be profitable, but not if you're paying for feed. So what he meant by that is you source feed from other places. He's big enough that some of the companies, the canning factories in town, because we've got a couple of, like, our town's pretty industrious. We've got a couple of different food factories, snack places, and things like that, that he has been able to make a deal where they just drop off stuff that they don't need or stuff that's going bad. So you're talking like a truckload of green beans or something. So he puts that in the silage for the beef and just fattens them up that way. And it's funny because we talked to another farmer recently. I don't think it was somebody we were related to, but one of the first things they said about successful farming and like homesteading is, yeah, it'll work out as long as you don't have to pay for the feed. So that's what he meant too, like find other sources. Like I just saw a video about homesteaders that bought land that was like largely oak trees with acorns. So they decided they're going to raise pigs there because pigs do well on acorns. Genius, right? So you work with the land. And that's why we chose pastured pigs and goats that browse, because our land is, I think we have less than an acre that's open and grassy. The rest of it is woody and very overgrown. So the pigs and the goats are working with us to clear the land, get themselves fed, and it just is an ecosystem, and you kind of got to respect nature in that way. So we're working together. We're using the right animals on the land. Maybe eventually we'll be able to clear out some of these, what do they call it? Silvopasture, where they put pigs in and they just change the landscape a little bit. They take out the little brush trees and stuff. And then you've got a little more sun coming through. So there'll be other, species of plants coming out, whether that's grass if you seed it, or just kind of better plants instead of the nasty. We've got a lot of invasive plants, and we definitely want to get them ripped out. It'll be a lot healthier once the pigs and goats go through, but we have more pasture building to do. We've got 2 smallish pastures now. One's more of a dry lot that we've got the goats on right now, and we need more pasture. We've got like a solar charger and the stuff ready to put it up, but we just haven't taken the time because we've been working so hard in the house and now on the garage. So it's another one of those projects we're going to get done. Please follow us because I need somebody to motivate me to get this crap done. We'll film it, share it, and you can see how we transform it because it's going to be absolutely gorgeous when we're done. I'm so proud to be the ones who are bringing this place back to life. Because the people who lived here before us, they loved it. And that's such a beautiful story. I wish I could tell you more. Like, the first time I came here, I was kind of like touched by the love of the women in this that have lived in this home. And then we found this is the coolest thing we've ever found. Like, our house is from the 1900s maybe. So we thought we might find some cool treasures, you know, some old coins or something hopefully valuable. But we found the most valuable thing. It was a time capsule that the mother of the children who were raised here put in there when they were still pretty young. And that was the coolest thing ever. I should share that. It was so neat to be able to connect with her because she died, like, I think before we were born in the 80s. Very cool. Very touching. I would never buy a brand new house. Never. Because I just love history and the fact that this house was used and has a story and raised a family in it. This house is so full of love. You don't get that from the builders who are slapping it together. They don't really put much love into their work these days. They go for the cheapest, and I just not into that. I don't care how shiny it looks. I'd rather have creaky floors and a story to tell. So that's our prepper pantry, and it's just a supplement to the farm as we're getting things started. And just in case that eclipse brings down a whole reign of terror or something, we got a backup plan. And it's nice to have. So hope you enjoyed the tour. The end.